All right, I guess we're recording. Here we go. We're gonna do this again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. What up? What's happening? So here we are in another ProTools session. This is another transmissions kind of thing. The last one was kind of doing some guitar stuff. And I think this one will do some synthesizer stuff and kind of talk about. God, it just seems so kind of gross for me to just like, ooh, talk about me, whatever. But that is kind of what it is about. Like I graduated through a few different synthesizers in the 80s. And ended up, being really into that synthesizer stuff as I was composing, and it became really part of central to everything that I do, and so kind of talking about the beginnings of it, which is this, what we're kind of hearing, which is the old ARP, which so there's an ARP that was my Grandpa Dick and Uncle Roger. The story is someone found it at the dump, and and they gave it to me, and it's an ARP, a Pro DGX monophonic, and I thought it was a kooky thing, it was just, and I think everybody kind of probably did, but it was amazing, really cool rig, and I'm hoping to bring that thing back to life here pretty soon. I actually just recapped it last. It was in the flood in 2012, and it was completely submerged in mud, and but it got recapped, and it is on its way back to life. This guy Mark is kind of tinkering with it, and we'll see. But this is it. In 1985, I think. And this was inspired by, there's a movie that I don't know the name of it. It was about a boy that his parents were in South Africa, and they were like working with some indigenous tribe or something, or they were working in the the jungle, anyways, the rainforest, rain jungle, and their son went missing and ended up getting raised by the people there, and it was Tangerine Dream did the soundtrack. I've never been able to find the movie, which is probably just because I haven't really looked that hard, but anyway, so that was really inspirational. There was a lot of whistles and a lot of synthesizer stuff, cooler than this, but this was the idea. And so this was, a tune that I wrote, and it's kind of a good example of a lot of the different kinds of stuff that I ended up creating over my life. And so where you have, like, this kind of simple pattern that repeats and repeats, is just a loop through the whole thing, and then you have different chords underneath, and then you add stuff where that original pattern just kind of becomes part of the background, and you kind of forget about it, and you're listening to the stuff that's in the foreground. That became a template for dozens of songs that I wrote, and so that's kind of why I'm starting here. There's all kinds of goofy stuff in this archive that's kind of funny. We can quickly look at some of that, but this tune ended up having, and it really is the whistle, which I think is on this track. Whoops. So when we moved into a house on Mammoth Road in Londonderry, and in the bedroom that I took, I found this recorder. Yeah, so this is a tune that is not on the transmissions disc cassette. But anyways, and it's just a tune that's kind of cool. But it was, I was always about those whistles, man. Anyways, so, but there was some other goofy stuff in here too. We can just quickly, some more whistle. Right, there's all kinds of wacky stuff in here. I don't even know. Oh, there's this great drum machine. This was a Lin drum. Whoops. I think this is the bounce track. Right. So that was a drum machine that the school had. Anyways, and I think we need to jump to a different whole thing to... I'm just kind of looking at what's here. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in these, so they're kind of fun to check out. But let's go to the next synthesizer in the list that I wanna see is a song that is on the cassette, and it's called before it was called. Gosh, honestly, I didn't even know. I'm not even sure what it's called on the cassette now, because the names everything got changed. Yeah, sure. Oh boy. But it was called The Sound of Heaven before, and so, gosh, which I'll have to. I don't know. I'll paste that in. I'll do a little correction or something. I don't know. And we're gonna call this. I'm gonna do this on the fly. See, this is how unprepared I jump. My neighbor in his pickup truck. How unprepared I am doing these videos. I really just kind of wing them. So here I am. So this is a DX9 that was Aaron Donahue's was one of my best friends from high school. He played the piano, and his parents or for Christmas, who knows, he ended up getting a DX9, which is like little brother to the DX7 in the middle 80s. It was 83, 80 something maybe. And let's just hear a little bit of it. And so if we listen to that for a minute while I'll blabber on. So it was not velocity sensitive, FM synthesizer, 4 operators instead of 6 or 8 that the DX7 had. So it was really the little brother. It had didn't have any cartridges to save sounds, but you could save sounds to cassettes. And he just was like, I'm not that into this thing, so he just kind of let me borrow it for a while. And I mean, I had it for years. I probably had it for over a decade. And yeah. And anyways, I got into programming it before I got my D50. I really dove into trying to figure out how to program it and wrote a bunch of songs on it. And really loved that thing. And this was a sound I was goofing around with. You can kind of hear. It was the LFO. Like, that's a random LFO, super fast. I was trying to figure out if that was a useful thing or not. And I was like, oh wow, that's really cool sounding like that. This just kind of like sounds kind of strangled. And I thought it was really neat. But this was, again, part of that thing where that first track is just that pattern over and over and over, and then you add the other stuff into it. So this is the kind of the bass, or like the, I don't know, a sustained part that's kind of playing through the chords. It's got that same, a little more fuzzier. And then there's a guitar track, like super chorused into, just like, is it a guitar? I'm not sure. And then I did this like breathy thing that I was hearing in it. But again, it's that same thing. This was the progression, you know, into kind of doing the same stuff. I was heavily into this like super cheese, like really saccharine, pretty stuff. And there's more of that. I kind of ended up getting away from that more and more later, kind of. I mean, I still do some of that stuff, but I was like full on, and I think I've, you know, said that in other videos, but so that's certainly where I was at. And in the last video, I was kind of talking about the Sims song and how there's all these different versions of it. Well, here's one. And let me just skip and play a little bit of this so you can kind of. This thing's beautiful. It has these glass. This is the D50. Doing this glass stuff. Anyways, so again, it says, and you can see it right here, the Sim song. That's the D50, man. I missed that thing. Anyway, so that's one thing. There's some other, who knows? There's some weird stuff on here. So, but if I jump to, let me say this real quick, and then jump to, I believe it's 8. This one here. We'll have another one from the cassette. And then we can do this one here. I gotta find this one. So here's a D50. Is it this one? Yeah. Again, the same idea. So here we are, first track, with a pattern that just repeats. And then some chords, pretty chords, that's gonna roll through with some changes. I don't know what else is on this. And then I'm just, you know, fleshing stuff out, some pretty stuff. Some more of that glass stuff. Whoops. Ha! That's awesome. So, when I first got the D50, I mean, that thing was just like leagues beyond any synth I didn't even dream of a synth that would sound like that thing. And I immediately just dove into learning how to program it, and because I was never satisfied. Like, there was some great presets there. It definitely like, but it was just all about diving in and taking a preset and figuring out how it worked, and then I would deconstruct them and make my own sounds out of it. And one of the most important ones that's in there, I don't know if that's in this. I loved that glass stuff, but this sound here is Dreamer. And it's just kind of like a synth string kind of pad thing. And that became one of the building blocks for so many patches and songs. And so, believe it or not, that patch called Dreamer became was the beginning of this sound when I started playing around with, filtering it and doing different stuff. It became this, which again is that same. So this is the first track, the initial loop of a tune that's gonna, and that thing just laying it all the way across the whole thing. And sorry, my kid's like trying to call me. She's gonna start harassing me. So this, so we'll poke through this a little bit. So this goes all the way through, same idea, based on, and this is the graduation into the newer, like I still rate music like this, that has that, will have some kind of pattern, and then you add, some chords and layers to it. So here's Dreamer. I think this is like some choir-y kind of stuff. Right? So that kind of layer, and then there's guitar. And I believe this is the Les Paul. So, but it's still got that kind of, I'm going to the jungle, man. That's what I'm hearing in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All kinds of stuff that's very often in 3 or in 6/8 or whatever. Anyways, so that was kind of what I wanted to share for the synthesizer stuff on cassette video. And my kids are driving me crazy now because they keep bothering me. So, but I'm gonna sign off right here. It's almost 20 minutes. I hope you liked watching. I hope you're loving the music. Me with my pants down in school, that's what it is, right? My squeaky desk. Anyways,